Hi guys, it's Ray. I am going to assemble my lake journal for you today. It's not going to be exactly how I had originally planned to do it, but I can't find the fabric that I thought I had that I wanted for the spine. And yeah, this is my template for where my holes for the binding are going to be. So there's that. I have my binding kit. It had some bone folders in it. I pulled the bone folder out because I can't find mine, but this one's really too fat for my scoreboard. So, but I used it anyways because, you know, it's what I could find. So the other thing for the binding you have to have is an awl to poke your holes. And this is a cheapy Amazon one. I don't know where my other one is. Also in this kit was waxed thread, which is nice to bind with. You can use baker's twine, other things, but the waxed thread is pretty sturdy. And then there's a whole bunch of needles. So I'm going to leave all of them out apparently. Some of them are tiny little holes on the top eyes, and I don't want a tiny little eye. So I'm going to take one of these two, which look to be the same anyways, and put the rest of them away before I drop them. So, but we'll get to those parts. I am going to bind mine. This was a Dollar Tree book. I should start there. I cut the spine and the excess fold of the spine off and cut the center out because I don't need it. So I'm going to start by gluing. Okay, let me back up. This is a 4-inch wide strip of cardstock, not cardstock, chipboard. This is fairly thick because it's actual like packaging chipboard, not like a piece of a cereal box or something. Cereal boxes, cracker boxes, whatever will work. But if you're going to use those, you're going to want to glue two together to give it stability. But since I'm using something heavier, I didn't need the added weight to it. And this is my old Gorilla Glue, but it'll be fine. Since I'm not using fabric, I'm not pulling out my fabric tack. I am just going to start with Gorilla Glue. Okay, so I'm going to lay my front cover just past the fold, because you do want to make sure it can fold. So, actually, it doesn't really matter. It can go right at the edge because I'm putting it on the inside, not the outside. Had I put it to the outside, I would have had to leave excess. And I'm just going to clip that on so it can dry in place a bit. So I'm going to let this sit and dry a bit, like that. So I'm going to clean up again. Okay, so I already pulled a bunch of papers for my signatures. This particular book, because it's 2 inches, is going to get 3. So I cut, I think, 30 sheets of paper. This is going to be all of them. They're going to end up sticking too far out. But that's okay. And I may eliminate a couple. I haven't decided yet. But the only thing I really particularly cared about is the inside of the signature. The facing page is going to be the same. So I picked this one for one of them, this one for one of them, and then this piece for one of them. So those are just going to be my signature centers. I do have a couple papers that have some writing on the back. I think there's 3 or 4 in here, so when I get to those pages, I'm going to make sure I covered them. But these are a little bit wider, the like cut ones, so I'm actually going to put those towards the outside when I do my stack. Just because the further into your signature you get, the further out the cardstock's going to go. So I'm just going to start one by one, sorting paper out. These are very old, like mulberry papers that have probably been in my craft stash for 20 years. So I decided that it is time to use them. They'll be interesting adhering things to, but I had 2 of them. Okay. So that'll end up being the front of that signature. So you can see where these are going to stick out a little bit more, but it's okay. And I actually ended up with those together, so I'm going to pull this one and move it in. Grab some binder clips, because I think I need way more of these, and I don't think these are quite sturdy enough. Okay, so I'm going to have to use a couple of the pink clips, but not too many. So, you're going to make sure your signature is, like, good and snug the way you need it. And make sure all of your seams are pushed in. Like it's not floppy. And I'm going to clip each section to hold it in place. This is why I need so many. Because what you're going to do is this is just a pad for stupid poking things on. I like to have that underneath. So the template I made for my spine to punch my holes is the same template I'm going to use for inside my signatures. The only thing I didn't do, and I should have done, is I didn't mark the top of the signatures, like where they start and where they end inside the book. So I'm just going to kind of roughly eyeball myself center. And I'm not happy with the way this green paper on top is sitting. So I'm going to kind of fix that. It's like a weird, almost waxy paper. But once you have your signature in there, you're going to try and keep it somewhat closed. If you lay it out flat, they're going to pucker. So the more closed you can do it, the better chance you'll have of getting your lines where you want them, if that makes sense, I hope. I really should have clipped. I really should have clipped this template in here as well. And I may get it lined up and do just that. Just so it's not sliding around on me. So my center hole is good. This one is good. And that one is good. So I am going to leave these clipped right up until I'm binding. So those can just get set off to the side for the moment. This can get out of the way for a second. Now, I'm going to bring my book back in. It's probably not fully dry yet, but it's okay. I am going to grab my duct tape. This is going to be my first step. I'm just going to cut a couple longer pieces to start. All right. So hopefully this has been sitting long enough to hold. These are going to go as an added binding. And I'm going to try and line them up on the blue edge just so they're semi-straight. And that way I can be sure they get covered by my paper strip I'm using. And I'm going to put a strip right down the middle. Again, I normally do a piece of Tyvek, like keep your packaging Tyvek from mailers, but I don't have any, so I cut and go a ½ inch wider in here because my paper is cut a ½ inch wider. Than what my cardboard was cut. So I'm going to take my bone folder and just really stick this down everywhere. Okay, so my book should still fold if I didn't do that too tight. It's stiffer, but it'll be okay. All right, so I don't really want that folding over the top. So I wanted to use Mod Podge, but I can't convince myself that the Mod Podge is going to stick to the duct tape, so I think I'm going to brush on my Gorilla Glue. But what I did was I cut, I pulled 2 of this paper by accident. I think there's one in the book. But I cut this into a 5-inch strip. So I'm going to center it up and glue it down over the top cover. Semi-straight, like as straight as I can get it. It's not going to be perfect. And I really should score it at the 2-inch mark. Well, 2 inches out of the center. So, which should be 1.5 inches on either side. So it should be here, and I don't remember if the triangle is, I don't remember if the triangle is the, that's the 3, so that's got to be the 3.5. And that should give me a good crease to go around the book. So if you're newer to paper crafting, this one's a Score Pal. I know there's like a Martha Stewart brand. There's lots on the market since this one came out. Of course, I think this was like one of the originals. I've had this one forever. But I highly recommend investing in a scoring pad at some point, or buying a paper trimmer that has a scoring wheel. I use this paper trimmer, and I do believe there is a scoring wheel that can go in it, but a lot of the rotary systems do have alternate blades, so, but some kind of scoring device is very, very helpful for this whole process. And I just dropped one of my signatures, and of course it was, you know, the difficult one. So, just a quick aside, sorry. Just something I suggest. I would normally like to fold this a little further, but I want this little bit of rock at the bottom. So, I'm not even going to really score it. I'm just going to kind of mark where my fold is going to go. Just so when it comes time to wrap it, it's easier. So if that wraps there, and the top is going to wrap maybe. All right, so I'm gonna grab a brush and my glue. Actually, I'm not even gonna grab a brush. I still have that little piece of paper I used earlier, and I'm just gonna continue with that. should have sliced there, and I might at some point, because again, it's not fabric, it's not going to have any stretch or give. So I do want to, like, at least make sure it folds in. So I'm going to let it dry in its folded position. I'm going to try snipping this end. Okay, so, yeah, I had some glue transfer onto the front. Darn it. Oh, it's actually the back, but still. Okay, so I'm going to walk away from this at this point. I'm going to let this dry thoroughly. Okay, so I am going to do the inside of the cover. This is still buckled a little bit on the outside, but I'm going to cover that in some trim. It'll be fine. I do have a little bit of a pucker at the top on this piece. So I'm going to kind of squish it back down. All right. So this is the piece that's going on here. And I'm going to mark it and cut it. And I think this one I'm going to use my spray E6000 on. Not that it wants to spray for me. Helpful. And I'm going to pull some double-sided tape in at this point. I'm really not doing a good job here teaching you guys. Oh. It's too wet, or my blade's too dull. I was hoping I could cut it and have it fold a little better. Maybe I'll paper the entire inside of the book when I'm done. Alright, so next step is going to be trimming the front out. So I'm just going to use the double-sided tape for this. This is not going to be my best looking book ever. I'm gonna do some little golden books, which we're gonna do slightly different. So I'm gonna use this cute, I don't know why I trimmed that already, that was dumb. Use this cute anchor ribbon. So that's my cover. I know I've got it kind of messed up, but I think I'm going to try to distress this at some point anyways. Maybe try and even sand it a little bit just so it's a little more roughed up. I really hate these two pieces. I mean, I just love that I screwed it up. Alright, so the next step is the actual binding. So, your waxed thread, I don't even know where the start of this one is. There we go. I do the 3-hole system, and there's a name for this type of binding, but I don't remember what it is, so I'm going to do roughly 3 lengths. Three lengths of the book per signature. So I'm going to need 3 of them because I have 3 signatures. So, if you want to put a charm or something on here, now would be the time to punch your hole in the top for that. I do not want a charm on this. I don't particularly like charms on any of mine, so I'm just not. And I need to find my template thingy again. Well, that's aggravating. It's stopped recording and didn't actually show me stitching this one in. So, I guess I'll do the next one on camera. I was going to finish them off camera. But, here we go again. Alright, so get your thread started. I think this one was the one that was a pain in the butt. But start through your center hole and go down through the book. Pull all the way through and then back through your center hole and into the center hole of the signature. Remember, this is the signature I struggled with, so, oh, not bad. Okay, so leave yourself a tail, and then come to the bottom, straight to the bottom, out the bottom hole, and while I'm doing this, I'm leaving this all completely clipped and somewhat loose. I'm going to try and not go through that if I can help it. Now, because this tail is on this side of this thread, I'm going to actually put this tail on this side. It's the way I like to do it. You can see that's how it looks on the back. I'm going to tie my knot, double knotted over the thread. And then I like to, for just a little bit of extra security, bring one under the top half, one under the bottom half, and give them another double knot. And then just trim it down. And then you can take your clips off if you want. So through the center to the front, up, then into the front through to the back, all the way to the bottom, and then up again. And I'm actually going to move my clips to the outside of the book and go ahead and put the final signature in. Okay, so all of my signatures are in. I might have gotten a little carried away, but I don't really anticipate doing any really super thick embellishments, because you kind of want your starting point like a third or less of your spine is generally a good rule. It's not the most beautiful looking, but like I said, if you want to add a charm, you should do that before you bind. Your closure, you can do before or after. Some people like to put an eyelid in and put an actual tie. I prefer to just use the fold over elastics. And I think because I have that gold trim, I'm going to use this white and gold for this one. This white and gold chevron. I just prefer this look. So I'm gonna make it tight, but not like so tight that the book can't grow and expand. You can cut those tails down as far as you want. I just like that for me personally. And I can put Lake Life or something on here at some point. Like I said, I'm going to probably distress this cover anyways when I get going on it. And like I said, these little textured papers are going to stick out a little bit. But okay, so we're going to do a flip through before we start actually working on this ever. So, and I'll probably cover this whole interior at some point. Life is better at the lake. This is that one. I'm going to have to cover that. But you can see how secure these are. Don't bind like this if you're somebody that likes to pull your pages out to work on. Do it like the way I did my nature journal. These are cyclist goggles, but some of them do look like dive masks and stuff, so I thought it was appropriate. And there's that center of the signature. I absolutely love that. There's the cyclist himself. That's got to get covered. signature 2. And signature 3. Cover-ups. Live, Love, Lake. I actually like the way, and this wasn't intentional, the colors ended up. I actually don't see any pages side by side that I really dislike. So yay. There's the center page. Gorgeous. So that is it. Probably going to get started on this next week. We do go and open up camp this weekend, so and I do actually have some leftover pictures from last season that I could get started with, but they're all going to be bigger pictures, and I want to be able to print smaller ones. So, but I kind of figured I could like journal each time we go up, which may be every weekend. But that's my goal for this one, so there you go. Creating signatures and binding a journal. I have some little golden books coming tomorrow, which might be today when you're watching this. So, I'll explain what I'm going to do with those when I get to them. But we may go over some more of the steps of creating the signatures and binding again on those. We're definitely going to bind because a lot of people cut the gold off, which is kind of the signature of the little golden book. So, yeah, and I don't really want to do that. I want to keep the gold. So we're going to do it differently than some people will show you how to do. So I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.